Okay, Mike Masato back with you here, CEO of Staff Driven Dental and Dental Road Warrior, and another Sunday edition of the Dental Road Warrior, the 12th episode of the Dental Road Warrior. Dozens a word, probably not. But anyway, you can poetic license, I can make it up as I want. But on the highway, ironically, my subject today is going to be about lateness and patient lateness. And as I'm saying this on a Sunday, you can't see this up ahead of me now, but I'm not moving too quickly, because we are in bumper-to-bumper crawling along traffic on a Sunday on the highway. Just to give you an idea, in the state of New Jersey, everybody's in a big rush to go nowhere fast, and that's how it is all the time. But it's ironic when it comes to patients. Often they're not on time. And if patients are not on time, it can cost you a lot of money and a lot of problems in your practice. So obviously, having a good policy on lateness in your practice will be a big help. Now, as I'm talking about these policies here, I don't mean those signs, and I don't know if I talked about this, the signs you have hanging in your reception area on the wall, the ones that say, show up on time or I'll break your face. That's the Italian signs for Italian doctors in Jersey. But those don't work. People don't make agreements with signs. They make agreements with staff members, and they make agreements on paper, which they sign off on. So all of these things I'm talking about, I have written down and laid out, which are customized on a client-to-client basis. But you have to have some kind of written policy, and I've talked about why that is in previous episodes, that patients agree to, and lateness is no different. So what do you do in order to handle the problem of lateness? All right, now, the first thing that's going to happen when you put a policy on lateness in and you present it to the patients, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to say, well, the doctor's never on time. First words out of their mouth all the time. There's going to be some justification in their mind as why they shouldn't be on time. And the first thing they're going to say, oh, doctor's never on time. Yeah, usually, not always. For some of you do run on time. And the way to handle that one, because sometimes we know doctors are your worst enemies in terms of running the practice on time. And I know it's not all your fault, and we'll cover that. But the first thing you have to say in order to diffuse the situation when you get pushback about being on time, when you bring this concept to our patients, is the first thing you need to say to them is like this: you know what? You're right. You have to agree with them. Don't debate. If you agree with someone, the argument's over. Try it sometime. So if you say to a patient, the patient says to you, well, the doctor's never on time, and your front desk says, you know what, Mary, you're right. The doctor, we're not on time, but we can't be on time unless we have your help, and we're trying to fix that. Because if the patients aren't on time, we can't be on time, and that's a nice way of making them understand that we need to run on time. So you say we need your help, because if you're on time, we can be on time. Because usually the doctor runs on time, and in an extenuating circumstance, an emergency comes up, and don't use people don't care about other patients' emergencies, unfortunately, but so don't use that as an out for everything. They have to be true emergencies from time to time. There's an emergency will throw your schedule off a bit. This should be the exception to the rule. But you let people know that we want to be an on-time practice for your benefit. We respect your time. Your time is important to us. The time in the schedule, by the way, is an agreement with the patient. It's an agreement between you and the patient for you to honor their time and be on time and make their time be valuable. Because in a patient's mind, if you're running late and they're waiting 15 minutes, a half an hour, God forbid longer than that, in your waiting area, which I don't even call it that anymore, it should be a reception area, not waiting, because no one should be waiting in that area ever. That basically tells them you don't value their time. Their time is not important to you, and it's a broken agreement, especially for new patients. That's the death of the opening part of your relationship. If they get there and they're sitting around waiting forever to be seen and to be taken in to get into your new patient experience. All right, so we need to basically make sure that we keep things on time and not have them waiting. So that's how you remedy the first part of this when they give you some pushback about being on time. Second thing is having a written policy that states, what happens if they're late. And there's got to be a penalty. The big thing is there's a penalty. What's the penalty going to be? You can't charge them if they're late. All right, that's different when they cancel or no-show. Easy enough to charge that. But when they're late, it's hard to charge them. The penalty is going to be for lateness is simply going to be we may not be able to see them, and they're going to have to come back. See, this puts value in the appointment. So you have to figure, and it's going to be different between your schedule as a doctor and the hygiene schedule. Now, if a hygienist has typically 45 minutes to an hour, hopefully on that. Some of you have less than that. You think about it. What does it take you to do an adult cleaning? good 30 minutes, that's the clinical part of the cleaning. What about everything else? Like the education that goes on, and the home care instruction, and the co-diagnosing, and everything else that goes along, and the questions you ask, the engaging with the patient, the doctor coming in doing the exam, right? A patient's running late now, and let's say it's a 45-minute appointment, and now they're running 10 minutes late, maybe 15 before they sit down. You barely have time to get through that cleaning, right? He values the appointment, and we don't get in very many vital steps we need to get in to make that hygiene appointment be effective. So you have to assist about being on time, and you have to let them know we cannot compromise the quality of your treatment and do shortcuts just to make up for lost time. Oh, couldn't you just do a quickie cleaning? They all wanted something quick, all right? And that's how later on, well, it's just a cleaning. That's how it becomes just a cleaning, because we're just shooting them in, shooting them out the door real quick. Now, if you're running a clinic, so be it. Put them on a conveyor belt, in and out the door, and out they go. This video is for people that are not trying to run a clinic, and the quality and service are important, and you have to spend the time with the people and give them the proper quality time in the visit. All right, so if they're going to be like, I say if it's 10 minutes or more late for a hygiene appointment, you let them know you may need to be rescheduled. Like, they can come in and get the diagnostic work done. We can do an exam, we can do the x-rays for that one, but we may have to have them come back at another time and put them out in the schedule, which they're going to find out very quickly. That's going to be hard to do in some offices. There may be a long wait. We don't want them waiting. So they need to be there on time. And if it's beyond a certain time, as I said before, yeah, they're going to have to come back. Now, if it's a doctor's schedule, look, if they're 10 minutes late for a crown prep, you're not going to kick them out of the office and lose that production. But it becomes a point where it gets to beyond a certain time, you're not going to get the time you need to do an effective procedure. And what you need to do, the doctor doesn't get to make this decision. This is what I teach. You need to check in with the assistant. Patient comes in late, 25, 30 minutes late for a crown prep, let's say. All right, you have to make the call in the back. Is it something that's doable? Along with the assistants, is this going to make sense that if we start this, we're going to get it done, or we're going to back everything up and run behind on everybody else? All right, so we have to make that call. So you may have to do something that day, and then we have to come back for the rest later on at this point. Now, again, you cannot agree with this, but I'm going to tell you, you don't have any idea what it costs you in being late. The average practice, just the analysis on this, runs about 10 minutes late throughout the course of a day. All right, and that adds up. So, and here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I found out the average practice throughout that 10 minutes here and there throughout the course of a day, you lose about an hour of production time. That's what bleeds out of the practice. We don't even notice it. It just goes away, and we don't make up that time. That's an hour that we're never going to get back. What's an hour of production time worth in your practice? Let's say conservatively it's $500 an hour. All right, that's even just not even combined with hygiene. Let's say it's $500 an hour we lose due to lateness, potential production that we're not going to get. All right, multiply that out times 4 days a week. It's $2,000 a week times 4.3 weeks in a month. That's over $100,000 of lost potential revenue that bleeds out of the practice that we're never going to see because we're not running on time. That we're losing that 10 minutes here and there that leaks out of a day, bleeds out of a day. Over the course of a typical day, and that's just not keeping to a schedule. The art and science of how we schedule things. Not insisting on patients run on time, us running on time. It's a combination of things. But there's only so many hours in a day. Like I said, we're not going to go beyond a certain time. We're not going to work overtime to make up these hours. We're not going to come in on a weekend to make up these hours. Okay? That's just lost revenue, potential revenue. Right? So we want to make sure that we maximize every minute of every day because for production's sake. All right. So the patient policy on lateness, you let them know, and it's I'm not going to paraphrase it down today, but you let them know what the stipulations are for lateness and hygiene and lateness in your schedule, and you stick to it and you insist upon it. And the penalties are going to be that they may have to go back or come back or not be seen today and get the full treatment. All right? And a good thing to do is to put a penalty on yourself. If you want to see how you're doing with lateness, buy a stack of like Dunkin' Donuts cards at $10 a piece. And Dunkin' Donuts cards, and have a stack of both, and put them behind your front desk. And for every time that we're late, once we institute this policy, when it's our fault that we're running behind, you go out and apologize to a patient and hand them a gift card and say sorry for the inconvenience. Let's say it's 10 minutes or more late. Give them a gift card. Look how many cards you have left at the end of the week. It should be fascinating to see that pile of cards. It diminishes. It puts a dollar value on, wow, look what it's costing us simply in gift cards, to be late over the course of the week. Now, that's obviously magnified of what it's going to cost you long term in the practice in terms of lost revenue by not having some kind of policy to put some control over patients and making sure that they show up on time. All right. So again, that video cracked 10 minutes today. So it's one of my longest ones. I think I just set a record. You're all part of a record today. So if you like this video, please share it. I think the last one we saw, over 5,000 people saw it. So I was really excited about that. We'll be back soon with the 13th episode, Lucky 13. I'll come up with something really special for that. It'll be good. It'll coincide with Halloween even. All right. So this has been Mike Masato, CEO of Staff Driven Dental and Dental Word Warrior, signing out until next week.